Hello, everybody. It's been a while. I know that it seems like I'm recording on a potato, but it's whatever. Um, I was just doing a little self yap to myself. Oh, I took a vitamin not that long ago, so I'm still feeling the effects of that. I accidentally skipped a day yesterday. I've been taking my vitamins every day for like the last 3, 4 weeks. So yesterday was the first time I forgot to take it, um, and I don't feel so good right now because I took my vitamin. Uh, but yeah, I was just doing a self yap, and I was talking to myself because I've been talking to myself a lot lately, and I felt like I needed to record it or something. I don't know. I may or may not release this video. It's completely up to myself, um, my future self. But what I want to say is, or what I was saying to myself was, not everything has to be posted, you know? Not everything has to be out there in the world. Um, I feel like the reason why I'm one of those artists that you barely hear about or you barely see, or probably don't think that I have nothing going on in my life, which is false. Everybody has something going on in their life, but it's just how you present it to the world or to other people, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a very out there person. I've never been, and I don't think I ever will be. That's just how I am. That's what makes me who I am, and that's what makes me different from everybody else. All the other artists, content creators, whatever you want to label me as, I already know who I am. I already know what I am. But people are going to have their own perspectives and interpretations on who I am or who I may be. But I already know who I am, so I'm not worried about it. But like I was saying though, not everything has to be posted, not everything has to be distributed into the world. You can have a grand idea and you'll post it, right? But then you'll do nothing with that grand idea. It'll sit in your mind, it'll be internal for whoever knows how long. It can be there for however long it needs to be there or wants to be there, and then it leaves, and then you feel a void because that time you spent thinking about it or dwelling on it or potentially planning it, you could have spent that time actually doing what you were wanting to do, what you were trying to set yourself out to do. And so, honestly, where I am right now in my life, and where I am creatively, is I understand and I've learned that I am the type of artist that does not really care about social norms. I really don't. And I'm not doing that to purposely be a rebel. I'm not doing that, to have aura or to gain clout or to be mysterious. That's just how I am. Like, honestly, that's how I am. I'm very social. I grew up having uh, I grew up not having as much technology in my face as other people might have, because growing up, a lot of other people, they played online games, or they had internet, or they had, a lot of friends, or they had phones, or they had something to connect with others. But meanwhile, for me, I had to actually go outside, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not doing this to try and feel mysterious or feel different in general, but it's just how I grew up. I grew up more out there. I had to actually go out and make friends. I had to socialize, engage, figure out what it was that other people had similar to me, and use that as a foundation to grow a friendship or something, or grow a relationship or something like that. That's the type of person that I've always been, and I think that's the type of person I always will be. And trying to change that, I feel, is what made me kind of lose myself and my identity as who I am as an individual, rather than who people want me to be or believe me to be. I'm the older I get, the more I realize that people like to paint a version of yourself for you, and if you're not careful enough, you'll fall into that pit where those versions that other people create of you will be what you imagine yourself to be. You know, that might not be who you really are, but you believe it in that moment. You believe that's who you are. So you live that way, you think that way, and you are that way because other people made that version of you. Because you spent all that time letting other people control you or other people create that narrative. You know what I mean? Don't let people do that, man. I know there's people out there, you know, who post a lot. They post all the time. But like I said, I am an artist. I am a creator that does not like the social norms. I don't like the pressure of the content creation era. I don't F with it, whatever you want to say. I don't really care about it. You know, I'm really trying to improve myself, improve my life, be a better version of myself, be a better artist, be a more serious, mature, but still very much goofy and lively artist and person that I've always been. But I'm trying to do it in a way of where I have more perspective and experience to myself. You know, I want to be Julius from 10 years ago. I want to be Julius from 15, 20 years ago, but just a little older, you know what I mean? I want to still be that same person, that same kid I was those few years ago or those decades ago. But in order to do that, I have to learn who I am truly and genuinely. And by doing that is staying away from social media, not posting on social media. And, you know, it didn't really happen on purpose. It's just organically how it is. You know, I grew up without or kind of feeling left out. You know, when Kick was a thing, back when Kick was a thing, when everybody had Kick, I didn't have Kick. I didn't even know what Kick looked like. I didn't know what Kick was. I legit did not know what Kick was. Like, I didn't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it felt like if you were to show an iPhone to a caveman, they'll be like, what the fuck is that? They're not gonna know what that shit is. That's the same thing for me. Like, I never seen Kick, so I didn't know what it was. And it was the same for other social media apps or platforms and stuff. Like, I never knew about them. But I knew of them, but I didn't know how they function, what they look like, stuff like that, how you interacted with them, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out there. I may or may not post this on my YouTube channel. Depending on how I feel about this video, I might, because maybe this touches somebody, maybe someone sees this, hears this, whatever, and they're like me, you know, they feel like content creation is a waste of energy, a waste of creative energy, and you could be doing so much more by just creating and creating for yourself. Don't create for anybody else. You can practice, exercise, and create without having to post it, without having to share to the people. Be selfish, man. Like, people, people, you know, and that's another thing. That's what people were trying to force me to do for a very long time. Like, stick with boxing, stick with YouTube, or, you know, do this or do that, draw this for me. I'm like, bro, I'm not that person. Like, I am very selfish when it comes to my artwork. So by me being selfish with my artwork, that means that the only thing that matters is how I see my artwork. Do I like it? If I don't like it, why do I not like it? What can I do to make myself like it? And I work on that, and I get better at that. And when I see results, I'm like, okay, let's move on. What's another flaw I might have? I might not know what my other flaw is until I step out of my comfort zone, and then I'll be like, there it is. Now here we go. Let's execute it, and let's do the same thing we did for the last problem or the last flaw. And it might not be a flaw. It might just have been something that you were lacking. You know, it never has to be something negative. But anyways, this video is already way too long. I see it's going on about 10 minutes right now. I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be this long. Usually when I yap to myself, I can yap for like 30 minutes, maybe an hour, uh, just getting stuff off of my chest. I don't care. I will admit that I talk to myself a lot when there's nobody around. Like I said, this is something that I'm used to. This is something I grew up doing. I've grown up doing, is talking to myself a lot because there wasn't no one there to talk to. So this is something that I do. So I can go on for hours and hours, but like I said, um, there's different kinds of artists, man. Like, understand the type of artist that you are. If you know for a fact, I'm gonna say this directly to the camera. If you know for a fact that you are an artist that feels pressured when you have to create content, or feels pressured that you have to create content, don't create content. Unless you're getting paid for it, or like unless you're already getting paid for it, or if you're good at it and you want to get paid for it, that's the only thing you have to think about. The only thing you have to worry about. Other than that, don't worry about content creation. If you feel like you're still working on your craft and you feel like you're behind, it's because you're too freaking focused on content creation. Leave that shit alone. Leave content creation alone. Be yourself. Be the artist that you're meant to be, which is off the grid. You do not have to be on social media, because the pressures of what social media is creating for you is what's keeping you where you're at. That's why you're not growing. That's why it feels like you're having writer's block or some sort of creative block where you can't move forward. Do what you have to do. Not everybody is a content creator, and you don't have to be. I understand that it's another way to create revenue, but if you're not ready for it, or if you don't want to do it, or if you're not in the right state of mind, or if you're not in the right position to do it, then don't do it, bro. Don't even force yourself to do it. I'm saying this to anybody who's an artist like me, who damn near dreads going on the internet, posting anything, having to think twice before I post, because the way that I see social media is an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity to become better and to grow more following and grow uh, more finances, or to gain more revenue. That's the way that I see social media. So if I'm just an artist and I'm just creating my art behind the scenes and I'm doing what I gotta do behind the scenes, that's cool, bro. I don't gotta post it. The only way that I'll post it is if I get confident enough and good enough to where I'm like, okay, I am going to post this. Or it's not even that. It's if I feel like it. If I feel like the world deserves my expression. Let's leave the video there. I am the artist who is selfish. I am a selfish artist. I do not care what people think about my art. I used to. Very much so that has stopped me from making anything, from doing anything, from wanting to create anything in general. It stopped me from doing that. So I just stopped caring. I started worrying about myself, more about myself. Am I happy? Okay, cool. Why am I happy? How can I continue my happiness? Okay. How can I improve? These are the different things that I think. But I want to leave this note. I want to say this. I want to leave the video on this, right? Do not, and I repeat, do not share your art if you don't want to. Do not feel obligated. Do not share your art if you feel pressured. Do not share your art if you don't want to. That's it. That's all I'm gonna leave the video with. Just don't. Okay. Now, go create. Create behind this. Create beyond the scenes. Do what you gotta do. Prove who you are as a person, as an artist. Do your thing. Create behind the scenes. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about monetization. Don't worry about none of that bull. Create. Improve. Be better. Stop worrying. about what other people think. Just be you, do you, and live for you. Okay? Alright, I'm out. Have a good day, guys. Should have said that. Or night, whenever you're watching this. But have a good one. See you guys.